Hello and welcome back to the Monster Hunter Double Cross demo for Nintendo Switch, where today we're just going to be exploring. It's going to be a nice relaxed day, and we're going to bring the light bow gun this time because it should be able to zoom in as well. Yeah, we're just going to look around, see what we can see, take in the high resolution textures and whatnot. Because this game does look a sight better than Monster Hunter Double Cross did on the 3DS. And yes, we can zoom in, which is good. Got a little fire pit. Several things around here, but this isn't really where we want to explore around, though. That is a pretty nice view out that way. Gonna be taking this exploration a little bit faster than we did in the Jurassic Frontier, mainly because we're trying to fit 2 into this episode. Well, these trees are clearly just a flat texture put into, doubled and then put into a cross formation. You can see one of the arms just sticking out as we move left and right. That is some very quickly lapping water. So here is a case of where the water is a texture, but this time they're moving it too fast rather than too slow, which is interesting. Nice reflection, though. So we got some popos. We got nice rock texture here. But there's not all that much to see around here right now. Some nice little fishies. But let's head on out here. So, this river must have been feeding into the lake we were just at. Which means we've actually come quite a ways in universe. I see the bugs of this type are not really retextured, but again, they didn't really need to be. Would have been neat, though, if we could at least see the bugs attached to the lights, as opposed to just the lights. So let's hop on up here. You know what? We'll actually go higher and then climb back down a little ways. What's up, Blango? Yeah, this snow has some interesting texture to it. I wanted to see stuff like this. Just icicles that you can climb down. Wait, the Blango jumped down? I didn't know it could even do that. So now let's go into the cave. Unfortunately, it is impossible to visit all the areas on this map without revisiting any. But we'll just have a look around here. And let's hop down so that we can see the rest. I see this Popo has had one leg just straight up torn off. Not really a whole lot going on in here, though there are snow particles falling. So what we'll do here is we'll go this way. It's always interesting to me how we're actually on ice that's on top of rock. And here, the rock isn't really doing anything special. But if we go into here, we can see it's got like little ridges in it. It's a lot clearer towards here, like, especially as you're going up the hill. So yeah, like, you can see we're standing right at the peak of a ridge, and then here's the peak of another, then the peak of another. It's just weird how it does that. And I have to wonder if they did that just to make sure that we could always see the rock texture below us, so that the ice wouldn't, like, cause it to fade out. But as we run over it, it just kind of looks weird. More snow particles. Yeah. Interesting area. So now we'll go ahead and climb up over here. Come at that next area from the other side. That is very dark. Thankfully, it brightens right back up in here. Even though it's still pitch dark in the ceiling. And at the bottom of that abyss, we can just barely make out some texture. Also interesting is how in this area, there's that dark gradient at the bottom of the screen. I don't know what's up with that. Also, the ice here is quite blue. Well, let's head on outside. Certainly got some mountains to look at. But not really a whole lot going on with them. I imagine the only thing that'll be really super worth looking at from this point on in this map is going to be the decayed Kushala shell. Because that's just an interesting thing to begin with. Though Barioth is camping out up here, we can just sneak on through here before it can do anything about it. And climb on up. Oh, it's leaving. And it's going to where we just were. How convenient. So, yeah, this actually isn't much to look at. Maybe from higher up we can look down with our scope and get a nice look at the shape of it. I wish we had a flag to set up here, but alas, we do not. Okay. So, yeah, it's not really much to look at. Just a decayed cushy without its occupant. From down here, you can barely see any of it. I mean, I guess we can still see a wing, and that might be the tail. Yeah, that's definitely the tail. And it's too snow-covered to really make much out. Got some blangos over here, some more mountains. Anything down below? Not really, and we can't get close enough to the edge to actually see over properly. Which means there's not really that much to see here, just rocky texture, snow texture, snowball from a blango. That's interesting. Only blangos summoned by Blangonga could throw snowballs in Freedom Unite. Got the ruined camp over here. Definitely not going to keep the snow off anybody. Oh. Got some sun shafts. Okay. Well, I do believe I've had my fill of this map. So let's abandon this quest and go on to explore the Ruined Ridge. That one we might take a little bit longer to explore because it's a less familiar map, and also because it's newer. They might have put a lot more interesting stuff in it. So we'll probably end up saying hello to Valfalk, but we're not going to fight it. Yeah, we're just here to admire the scenery and any small animals living within. So one of the first things, there's the airship we get here on. It's a neat little thing. It's got a Diablos skull decorating the front. Though the horns have been removed and replaced with what look like cannons that shoot these lines that actually seem to not attach to anything. Yeah, that thing's moving up across a not sheer surface, and yet it's not extending at all. That line is not, in fact, anchored to anything. That's a neat little pattern inside the box. Now, wait just a darn minute. There's a lantern up there. We should be casting another shadow, but we're not. Even though we are most certainly in the shadow of this structure. We're still casting a shadow from over there, which is not exactly where the sun is. I don't think. Whatever. So let's step on out here. Take a look around. Some neat ruins. Can't really see much of the mountain above these clouds, but it's a very tall one. We can step out onto this ledge and take a look at these ruins over here, which actually look to be just a flat texture. Yeah, that's definitely not modeled. It's just a texture. Still, if you don't scrutinize it too heavily, it does look pretty nice. Though it also means these cracks have to be huge, because that's not that far away from that. Yeah. This is meant to be like super ultra far away, but they don't really justify it with space here. Well, can take a look at some rivers. That's neat. Can we see anything out there? Not really. Apparently a bunch of bugs flying around. Nasty. Well, let's back hop on down. So this, in my opinion, is one of the most beautiful areas in the whole game. Just, we've got a waterfall that is emptying into an abyss of clouds. We've got a little rainbow. Got some bits of the mountain just falling off. And then we've got this lovely waterfall, which we're going to get a closer look at. You can actually fight Plesioth here, which is a little odd. Not much room for it to swim around, but apparently enough. You can look at some fishies. Yeah, it's a gorgeous area. But then if you look up here, you can see some water that's actually flowing on the underside of an overhang, which that's not how water works. There should be more waterfall action here. But alas, like especially up there at the top of our reticle, like where the top of the circles around it are, there's some water definitely flowing under an overhang. And it's not a small quantity. There's no way the surface tension would be enough to keep it stuck there. And then there's a ruined cube, which can actually be broken by monsters. Let's go stand on it. Why not? Guess we can't get on top of that, but oh well. And into the cave. So here, we can also have some Plesioth swimming around. A lot more room for it to be swimming here. I really wish that this was in 3 Ultimate and we could just jump in. I'd like to swim around in that water. Hi, Great Thunderbug. So we can also look around at the stuff in the interior of this area. Did I? No, I didn't see anything living down there. I also kind of wish we could go explore under here, because it looks like there might be more cave past there, but alas, we cannot. Gotta say, the modeling on these stalactites is very blocky. But they're not what players are going to be looking at most of the time, so really not the place where you need to spend resources. Oh, that's a nice shot there. Just, that's good framing. Looks nice. Let's head on through. In this map, it is possible to visit every area without needing to revisit any. But in order to show off a shortcut, I'm going to have to make that actually not doable. Let's take a look over the edge here. We're pretty high up. above most of the clouds. Got some ferns just hanging upside down. Yeah. Neat stuff. That's a neat little hole. And here's a hole we can't explore. But here's a hole we can. Because it's our shortcut. And it'll take us right to where Valfalk is. Oh, hey, buddy. I believe you can also fight Plesioth here, though it doesn't do much swimming, if memory serves. Hopefully Valfalk leaves us alone, because I want to just look around without being bothered. Oh, hi. Yeah, like, that's a neat waterfall. And now we actually can see up to the summit of the mountain, because we're above most of the clouds. Actually, you know what? I think we still will be able to just visit every area exactly once. Yeah, we will. We just gotta go this way. And now we get to see the roots of this giant tree. This is another of the not quite so visually interesting areas, but it does have that tree. And we can see the silhouette of much of the mountain. Not all of it, of course, but much of it. Considering how this tree's roots are twining all around these ruins, that means that the ruins are older than the tree. And that is definitely not a young tree if it's that huge. Also, something interesting here. Pay attention to that little raised platform in the middle of the area. Specifically, the vines along the side of it. They've got an interesting draw distance. And as we approach, you can watch them just creeping on down the edge. Because their draw distance is actually very short. At least for this one set of vines. It might be that the textures for the vines and for the wall are actually superimposed. They might be trying to occupy the exact same space, and it's just if we're far enough, the rock or the stone takes precedence. But either way, you can watch them shrink, watch them grow, watch them shrink, watch them grow. Just a neat little thing. And someone has painted up this ruin. Specifically some cats. Trying to lead people to their shrine, I suppose. So here we can actually see the bottom of the storm. And we actually can't pan our camera high enough to see the top of the mountain. Got another cave we can't explore. Unfortunate. Whoops. Didn't realize the area transition was that close. I was just looking around. Alright. Well, we're going to come face to face with Valfalk again, but that's just gonna have to be the way it is. They did give us dung bombs, which is weird because Balfalk doesn't have a pin, and he's immune to dung. And when there's an Elder Dragon on a map, most small monsters don't appear. So, why the dung bombs? My guess is maybe when he's doing his recharging air intake thing, maybe you can throw a dung bomb at his chest and make him splutter that way. But I'd rather just use my weapon. Oh, maybe when he's charging up for that, you can toss a dung bomb at him. Though you'd have to be really quick on the draw, because he blasts off pretty quick. He doesn't do much of an intake beforehand. Buddy, can you leave me alone? I'm just trying to look at the environment here. Whoa there. Ooh, there's something on top of there. Oh, that's the secret area. That's right. All right, well, let's head on further up. Maybe this guy will actually leave us, or leave this area, and maybe we'll come back to it if he does. So now we're up in the storm. Can just barely see the peak of this mountain. Very wind-swept terrain. Look down over the edge and you just see swirling clouds. Quite ominous. And of course, we can grab eggs. Let's take a look a little further up. Yep, just swirling clouds. And lightning. Some interesting structures eroded by wind. And then up we go to the very peak, where the sun is a fairly low-res texture just sitting there in the sky. And it's actually brighter when viewed through the reflection of the water than when viewed directly. What's up with that? Got this energy pulsing through the rock. Can do some mining if we had a pickaxe. Might be possible to make a pickaxe if we gathered at the right spots, but that's too much effort. Got the moon there. Not quite opposite the sun, which means it shouldn't be full. And yeah, it's not quite full. Got a halo of light around the sun. And if we look down here, we can't see the storm anymore, which is odd. And we can see some ground. Yeah. Also, apparently the entire top of this place is coated to splash as if it was nothing but these water puddles. Sure, there are some water puddles, but it's not the whole place. Like, I don't seem to be standing on water here, and yet we splash, and then there's that texture under our feet for the rippling. And if we come up here, then we're definitely not on water, and yet we're still splashing around. Yeah. Let's go ahead and take a look around here. You can tell that we're really high up in the stratosphere, considering there's not enough air in the sky for it to be anything other than black. Wonder what the deal with that little outcropping is. Seems to be covered in pools of water. Looks like a plateau. And I just also want to take a look through one of these arches over here. Looks like Valfalk just went back to the area that he had been in that cut our looking short. Unfortunately, we can't get close enough to the edge to actually really get a good look through. That's unfortunate. I much prefer when we can get right up to the edge. But alas. Well, I suppose we have explored well enough. So that's going to be it for this episode, and I do believe that's going to be it for this demo. The real game comes out in less than 2 weeks, so won't be long. So I'll see you folks when the full game comes out. See you then, friends.